In this video, we're going to be tackling a little bit more of a simple shape. So we're going to go ahead and model this little kind of orange piece that where the Nerf bullets kind of shoot out through here. And if we take a look at our reference that we have here and we zoom in on this piece right here, this is going to be kind of what we're building here. So we'll leave that up and put that in the background. Again, you're probably going to have this off to a side monitor, but let's go ahead and get started on that. So we'll go back to Maya and let's go to our side view and make sure we're kind of lined up there. So we're going to get this piece going here. We're just going to make a primitive. So we're going to go to polygon primitives and do our cylinder again. This time we're definitely going to use 32 divisions for this thing, and height divisions we can just do maybe like 4 or something like that. And cap division 0, radius we got 2, and height of 2 hit apply for that. And what we can do is just take this, tap E for the rotate tool, hold down J so we can snap and rotate in increments, put on 90 degrees. Then let's just move it roughly into position and go over here and try to get this right and through here like this. I'm just going to set it in here like this just a little bit and go to this view here like this. Now there are some programs out there that'll let you kind of take your reference and kind of float it over the top of programs like Maya. So there's a program called PureRef I use for that. But I'm going to try to just scoot the Maya interface over just a little bit like that so I can kind of see this piece so we can see what we're working on here and try to get some understanding of what the depth of this is going to be. So I'm going to tap D to get my pivot point, and I'll hold down V to kind of snap to this line here, and tap D again, then I'll hold V and then snap right to that edge right there like that. So I'm going to pull this back just a little bit further so we can see this edge here too and kind of see how much distance is going from here to here. It looks about okay, then this piece kind of flattens out right here. So if we select this and grow the selection, shift and the arrow key next to your question mark key, go ahead and grow that out like that. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a little bit like this to kind of get that angle going here like that. And then I'll take this face and kind of push it back just a little bit, because you're going to see where you've got basically this shape here. There's going to be a little notch going down here like that, so we'll be able to take some of this geo and kind of cut that out. First though, we need another ring to go along through here, an edge loop. So we'll shift right click and say multi-cut tool, hold down control, just add something really close there. Let's get in a little bit closer here, right there like that. And then I want another kind of little lip right here like this to kind of pull out just a little bit. So it's going to be kind of difficult to get that right there. So now we can select like the edges here, double click it and just scale that up just a little bit, maybe move it forward just slightly. And on here, let's just take this and grow our selection again, shift arrow key right next to the question mark key. It's actually period or comma. And we can do this and scale this down like this again, then move it back right here. And I think we're starting to look pretty good. Let's check it from a side view and just see, again, because this isn't a true orthographic photograph that was taken, you're going to have to use a little bit of artistic liberties to kind of figure out the placement and the scale of some of this stuff. So it's not really going to line up with the photograph perfectly. It does feel like this angle here is much greater, so we can continue to scale that down a little bit like that. this view right here. And I think we're getting closer. Now the next thing we're going to do is take this face here, shift right click and extrude the face and do an offset, and we'll go in about looks about this depth here, and we'll do this again. Tap G, and this time if we do want to do a little bevel without using the bevel tool, we can kind of pull this in just a little bit with an offset like that, and then pull this back. Let's increase this to 0.04 or something like that, and then just pull this back just a little bit, and that gives us a bevel already for this piece. What we can do is double click this edge loop, shift right click and do bevel edge on there, and do the fraction to 0.1, something right around there, and then that's starting to give us our beveling that we would have there. Then we can continue to take this face, F11, or shift right click. Remember, you can always get to your faces, sorry, not shift, just right click and say face. Always got that way to grab that. And if we shift right click, we can extrude face, and I'm just going to click this off of this mode here and just push it straight back. Now we can push this all the way through to where it goes into the model, because I do know that eventually we're going to want to hollow this part out, but I'm just not quite ready for that yet, so I'm just going to take that and pull that all the way back for now. One thing that's kind of cool with Maya, we're going to delete history, Alt-Shift-D, is that we can take this piece, you can hit Control-1, and it'll do an isolate select of just that part that you're looking at right there, like that. And then what I could do is, you can see we've got this back face that we had back here, and what we did was just kind of let it intersect with everything here. We can go ahead and move it and then snap along here and scale this guy down about to here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a kind of a wall thickness. I'm going to extrude this now. Shift right click and say extrude face, and click off this mode to put it in moving in world space. And I'm going to just pull this thing back, hold down V, and snap right to the end there, right? So now we can take this interface that we extruded all the way back there. We can delete that and get rid of it. We don't need it. And then we've got this other face here, and we can say shift right click extrude face and take the thickness of it and try to get it close to matching to the other one. And now we can delete this face out of here like that. So we're trying to build something that feels more solid for this kind of shape like this. And let's just take all of our edges and just scale this down a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm trying to just get it as close as I possibly can. Now we can take F9 to select our verts. We can drag a marquee around all this, and we could weld all these points together one at a time, because they're not, if I tap 3, they're just not welded together or whatever. We could drag a marquee around that, and we can shift right click, say merge vertices, and do the option box for that, and we can do the threshold. So remember, if the threshold is really low like this, they have to be sitting directly on top of each other to close up. And if we do display polygons, custom polygon display, and selected, and do border edges, it should be really obvious that these need to be sewn together, right? So we're going to do the merge vertices option box, and if this threshold is too low, we can do it, rerun it, and you can see we still have the border edges. It didn't grab those verts and merge them together, right? Now if we start upping this value, let's do like 0.1, let's see what happens. Should close it all up, right? So that's, again, just knowing how to use that tool comes in really handy at times. I'm going to delete the history. The other thing I'm going to do, we've got translation, scale, and all that stuff on this object. So let's get rid of that. So let's go to modify, freeze, transformations. I'll just do the option box to make sure we got translate, rotate, scale on. Hit apply. And now that objects transforms are frozen in space where they're at. So let's do this again. Let's go to F10 for our edges, double click on here, double click here. We're going to add a bevel to this stuff right there like that. Where else do I want a bevel? Let's do a bevel here and here like that. Okay, and so now we can shift, right click, bevel edge, and you can see that's going to do pretty good. I mean, we could up the segments to like 3, and you can see it's going to add more there, but I'm just going to leave it at 1, just like that. So if we tap 3, now we can start to see like what's going on with this model as a the high-res model. And even though we took those edges and held them, it's still feels like we might need more supporting edges on this. So if we go to F8 and then deleting history, I'll shift D. We can shift right click, do multi-cut tool, and then start to add more geo to this. So I'm going to add an edge like around here. One through the middle. If we hold on control and if you hold on shift, you can snap to different places within the model. So I think that's going to be right down the middle. I can do that again here and here. And I'd have to do it on the inner part as well. Like that. And I'll put a support edge to kind of hold here and do some more right along here like that. And let's do one here and here. Tap 3. And you can see now it's starting to hold that shape quite a bit better, right? And so the last thing that we're going to have to do is put these notches in here, right? And looking at this, let's go ahead and let's just make this real quick. Let's go create polygon primitives and we'll do a cube. And I'm not sure what your scale is for your cube is before, but this is the whole width of the gun. We have those settings from before, but no big deal. You can just always scale this stuff down, right? I'm basically trying to get a square shape that I could take and intersect with this and kind of see where everything lines up. I could put a wireframe on shaded here like this. This kind of helps, and if I hold down V, I can snap to this line here, and then that way I know I'm centered with the object. And again, I'm just trying to get some kind of shape that I can intersect with this and kind of see about the thickness of what that would be. Because I think we're somewhere in here. And it does feel like maybe I need to scale that down just a little bit. Now what I could do is I can move the pivot point on this, tap D, hold down V, and snap to this point here. Tap D and release, and then when I move it back now, if I hold down V, and I could snap to this point here, it should line up right with that geo that we've got there. Okay, so before we do this, I'm going to make sure there's no history on here, no history on here. Control Shift D to delete history, and we can do a boolean between this and this. Now the model might disappear because I'm in isolated selection mode, so that's right here. We'll see what happens. So let's go to mesh booleans and do a difference. Nope, so we're all good for that. Okay, cool. So let's delete the history on that, and then now getting some, see this clipping plane for the camera. Kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. It's kind of annoying, but just go to the perspective, hit Control A, and this near clip plane, have to reduce that number. So depending on what you're trying to do with Maya, you might have to do some different stuff here. We're going to use the multi-cut tool, and we're going to finish out a lot of this geo. Okay, so shift right click multi-cut tool. Let's drag from here to here and get that. And then let's drag from here, hold down Control and Shift, and it should give you the right distance from here to here. Hit enter. I'm going to go from here, hold down Control and Shift. It's going to go back like that. We're going to do the same thing for the top here. Control and Shift. Drag from this point. Control and Shift like that. Hit enter. And then now that gives us these lines here. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this a little bit. And continue that on like that. Yeah. So here's something we could potentially do. We could go straight across here like this, right? And remember, the goal is to get things into quads. So we could do something like this. Let's just check and see if we do that. What kind of results do we get? So we finish it off. We tap 3, and let's evaluate the surface. So one thing I did in the other videos, I made a real quick blend. So if you go over the model, Shift right click, Control right click, or right click over here off the model, you can say assign new material. And I made one of those. I just made a blend, so we can assign this existing blend material. And the blend, I just pumped up the the specularity on it a bit, so we can kind of evaluate the surface a little better. So I think that's looking okay for that. I'll be okay with that, but this is rounding in here too much, so we'll definitely have to do something with that. So let's finish out this other part here. And again, you might find a different solution for how you want to do these edges, things like that. But I'm just going to go with this for now. Like that. And then I do need to maybe do something like this, where basically it's rounding because there's nothing holding this edge in through here. So if we did something kind of like this, and if I go from here across, we're basically trying to build something on here that we can turn into this pattern, and I'll show you that as soon as I get enough here. So we basically want that, but we don't want all this geo going here and here and here. We can take this and build basically a corner, kind of just like this, and then now this can turn into a quad right here. We're gonna have to do some more work to the other parts, but we could take this edge, and I'm going to get rid of these verts like this, and I'll use the multi-cut tool. Shift right click, multi-cut tool, go here, and then go to this corner here like this. So in this case, I mean, could have done it this way too, so there's a bunch of different ways to get to it or whatever, but there's just a little bit of cleanup work that needs to be done. Selecting these verts, get rid of them, kind of like that. And I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with, like, let's just tap 3 and see like the results that we're getting, and it's still got a high degree of curvature there, right? And we need that to be straighter. So we definitely need a supporting edge coming all the way through here. and we need another one on the bottom as well. So let's see if we take our verts and merge all these together. Say merge vertices to center like this, and I'm going to move this off to the side just a little bit, and we delete this edge. This will give us a quad. I know it's a funky quad, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4. When we tap 3, we're going to get something like this, but we can take this point and kind of scoot it back just a little bit, and let's evaluate that like this. So you can see how it's going to work for us. It's going to harden up that edge. We just have to do a little manual kind of tweaking on that just a little bit. So if that works for us on the one side, then we could do it on the other side as well. So I'm not super concerned about the inner part as much. Let's just see what happens when we finish this out. Like this. I'm going to hit 10, delete that, tap 3 and see what that looks like. We can move this point. I don't think it looks too bad. Okay, since this thing is basically symmetrical, now what we can do is we've got our pivot point in the center of this object, and we can do the mirroring, but we can use the object space pivot point as the thing to mirror with. So if we go to mesh and go to mirror, let's open that up. So let's mirror it first across Y, and I've got this part figured out, and I want to push it down here, right? So this is positive Y, I want to push it to negative Y, and instead of mirror axis world, we'll do object, and hit apply, and you can see it's going to do that for me there. And then now I've got this side working, and I want to push it over here. So this is positive X, and I want to push it to negative X, like that. And that'll give us that piece there. Okay, and now let's bring everything back and take a look at it. So we can hit Control 1, or you can go to Show, Isolate, Select, and say turn on and off the view selected. Okay, so there's that that piece right there. I don't think it's super complicated, but there's some strategies for how you could actually build that shape out.